technically now we're branded WWE Studios.
Okay.
But you go all the way back. Anybody remember No Holds Barred with Hulk Hogan?
Mm-hmm.
So that was the original
That actually
WWE. Yeah, that was the inaugural film. But really, in terms of a greater level of activity, early to mid 2000s. So about 10 years. There's been a couple of different creative approaches to the movies over that period of time. But now, with my team, I think we've got the one that people are most excited about and is really resonating and starting to work in the way that we hope it will. So about a decade of activity. Yeah.
Where did Vince get this? Because Vince has insane ideas, and a lot of times they end up working.
Yeah.
Like,
he's nuts.
The first film has been out, like you said, for 10 years. By then, WWE has been on a huge, massive success. Where did he get the idea, like, oh, let's make movies now? How did that come about?
Well, I think there's a couple of reasons behind it. First of all, he loves movies, so I think that first and foremost, he's passionate about making movies. I also think he genuinely believes, and I agree, that there's a natural opportunity to extend the brand and also to use our WWE superstars in a different and unique way outside of the ring as well. So I think it's really about those two key attributes: is how do we extend the visibility of the brand, and how do we do so in a way for our superstars that can expose them to a new audience from one that is already there and excited about them being in a movie. So
one of my favorites is years ago. I'm going to show my age a little bit, but the Bret Hart. What was that? The Bret Hart movie that did like a docudrama. I don't remember that.
Wrestling in Shadows?
Was that what it was called?
Yeah.
Where they basically followed Bret Hart.
That was a Canadian-based.
Right, exactly. But the thing is, would you ever do a docudrama, like a documentary?
Like a documentary.
Yeah, like behind the scenes of a wrestler and the real injuries.
I would say never say never, but really what we're about today are making fun, exciting, broad commercial pieces of entertainment, and we're really generally not looking to do anything that's sort of wrestling themed in any way, and it's really trying to expand and extend what we're doing. But look, it's always about, if we see a great project or a great idea for a project, we're not going to box ourselves into saying, well, we're not going to do that because it's got a WWE component to it.
No, they approached me about, obviously with my character, with the Hornswoggle character, I don't think there's any better fit for a Leprechaun than me. So they approached me with it actually probably about 3 years ago. Talks started rumbling with me and them about it and keeping it under wraps and stuff. But then we finally had a director and Zach and off to the races. So.
Is it going to be different than the original? Like, is it a totally new swing or what?
Completely different. There is not one part besides the name that is the same.
You guys don't play any like homages to the original, or?
Not really. I mean, there's little things here and there, but not really. I mean, we wanted to make it so different. I've never seen the original, ever. So and I'm almost glad, because Zach's vision of the character and the movie, I feel if I would, I honestly wouldn't be able to take anything from the old one to going to this one. Warwick Davis had his shtick with that. He owns that character. That's always going to be him. This new character, it's a good feeling that it's all me. Like, I own this new character. I'm not trying to play what someone else did. 'Cause I don't think anyone could do it. But it's totally different.
I was very much looking forward to the Soska sisters, working with them, because I'd seen some of their stuff, and I think that they're going to be an enormous deal. In fact, I told them not to forget me when they become big shot Hollywood directors, because they are going to be that at some point. But I just wanted to make a good movie, really, and wanted to top the first movie, and make another one. I think we did. I think it's going to.
The first one was awesome.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great. I think what the girls bring to the table is going to make it incredibly unique. I think people are going to be blown away by the visual presentation of the movie.
Obviously, you've been wrestling for a very long time. What is one of the biggest injuries you've ever sustained in the ring?
What's what?
Biggest injuries you ever sustained in the ring? That you were like, holy shit, like, this is not good.
So one time, Big Show, who legitimately weighs 450 pounds and is an enormous man, superplexed me, which means he threw me off the top rope, and at the same time he hit the mat. And what happened was he sort of hit the mat first, and and no fault of his own, just things like this happen.
Yeah.
But the mat came up, having the sort of the, for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. The mat comes back up and slams me with even more force as I'm coming down with my 300 pounds into it, which caused my legs to spin all the way around and threw my back out completely. And I couldn't walk and had to go to the emergency room.
Wow.
And I was able to walk out that night, but they had to administer some serious stuff to sort of get me back on my feet. But I guess what happened was just that all the muscles spasmed and completely locked everything. I mean, I couldn't walk.
Wow.
Every step was very painful. Yeah, that was probably the worst thing that's ever happened as far as like, and it was weird. Like I said, that like 3 days later, we're working again. I'm wrestling again.
Yeah.
So, but I've broken my hand. I've really bad knee from playing football. And I also tore my bicep and my right arm. So.
Did you play professionally or college?
I played in college. By the time I went to the Chicago Bears camp, my knee was already blown out.
Oh,
yeah,
right.
Yeah. So.
Were you a linebacker or?
I was an offensive tackle.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
But the cool thing was that, well, not the cool thing.
Right.
But anyway, because of that, I got into WWE because I couldn't play football anymore, and it's been pretty decent.
So everything came kind of full circle.
Yeah, no, it's one of those deals. Seriously, in life, one door closed and a much bigger door opened up.
Like, what do you think should be done?
I think, well,
Give us the Glenn answer and give us the Kane answer.
okay.
Kane would just be chokeslam.
I just burn down everything.
Kane would chokeslam everything, and then Kane would chokeslam everything. It's like the problems in America are not going to be solved by Washington D.C. or in the state governments. They're going to be solved by the American people. The government needs to get out of the way and allow people to do that. All the regulations, all the taxes. This idea that the government can solve the problems, that's what's hurting everybody. You have a great entrepreneurial population here. That's what made America great. And if they were to once again get out of the way and unleash the American people, they're the ones that can solve the problems. The politicians are just going to stand there and take credit for it, and all they do is get in the way.
You say you're a hockey fan, so you're a New York Ranger fan, right?
What's no 94?
94,
man. We're Canucks fans. I'm not even sure I'm okay.
So what's
right
it
now.
feel like to have a cup?
What's a cup?
Good,
like?
right?
It's pretty nice, yeah. I've also touched in everything.
I think what defines us as directors is we're the fangirl directors, and especially with WWE, we started watching when Glenn was introduced as Kane. So when they sent us the script, we flipped our shit. We're like, wait, see anyone feels? That's not the sequel to. Oh my god, it is.
Is he coming back? Okay, done.
I won't even tell you what part of the script it was, but we both pushed away from our desk and like, are you at that scene? And we're like, we're doing this. And then we had the meeting. We're like, there's no way they're gonna hire us. It would just be too perfect.
We had a meeting with them in Lionsgate, and we went off about WWE and how much we respect their branding and the way that they promote themselves and them as a business. I mean, they're pop culture icons. They're like, Lionsgate's here's too, and I was like, yeah, I know Lionsgate.
I know them. We're proud of them also. But I felt like there's a lot of opportunities that I missed there. Like, to be a total nerd, there's a lot of high camera angles. He's 7 foot. The camera goes low. That's what you do. Shoot him like the Predator. Okay, so blank happens, and then blank. I can't tell you.
It's something that
We knew we weren't going to get
no,
nothing
but
from
at
that.
least she gave us more than Kane did. Something happens.
Something does
So
happen.
Yeah.
something has to bring him back.
That was another missed opportunity in
But what
the
does
first
blank
one.
mean?
How do you spell blank?
Define blank.
Is blank cultish, supernatural, or physical?
Satan stuff.
Maybe she
Satan.
gave something
Satan.
away.
Is it Satan stuff?
No,
Satan.
can't tell you.
Is
I
it
cannot
the
tell you.
devil? 'Cause that-
It can't be Satan. WWE's PG, remember?
It is now. Whoa,
okay.
I left for a while and like no tits and no blood and no cussing anymore.
I remember when.
Now, do you prefer the no tits, no cursing?
No, I don't understand because I used to watch when
thank you.
Sable
That's just
was
the way
there.
we live.
When
Oh,
Sable did a
Sable.
bikini contest, and
With
she
the
was
hands?
like,
The handprint.
Yeah.
Fully loaded.
I remember
Just get that
Sable.
on the friggin' thing. I knew the friggin'
I
fully loaded. I don't work for you.
And then the Crimson Mask they always used to have when they like.
Apparently now, if
They're
there's a
real
drop
wrestling
of
fans.
blood, they stop the match. And when I heard that, I was like,
And that's
What?
also not true because we were at SummerSlam and was it? Okay, so Brock versus Punk. I guess Punk hit the stairs wrong, so we were in the front row, and he was bleeding all over us. I was like, Punk should be dead. Oh my god! And we were like, get up, Punk!
Someone get him a Hello Kitty band-aid.
Oh, and until Brock came over, then I stopped chatting because that man is scary and huge. I was like, just do what you must, sir. It's okay. Sorry, Punk. I really liked you.
Oh, but about See No Evil? It's intended to be a franchise. I don't understand why they ended the last movie murdering him so horribly. Because imagine the challenge we went through of, well, how's he okay now? Vince is an effing Terminator robot. He cannot be killed.
I am so excited to meet Vince. We're going to Connecticut to their head office, and I think he's because he's always there when they do Raw. Like he's at every episode. So we're just gonna go to his office, and I'm gonna sit behind his desk and pretend to be him.
You're gonna fire people?
I hope so.
You're fired, and then she'll hire them back, and then she'll fire them, and I'll hire them.
I think Kane is perfect for a serial killer-like movie because when he first came out with that cell match, and he just went into that program with Jake, and I'm like, okay, that.
See, I was an HBK fan, and I was like, oh, thank God, because that wasn't going well for Shawn Michaels.
The franchise in the past has been very comedy-driven and kind of, to a certain degree silly and kind of that kind of thing. And from the beginning, the approach here was, how can we make something that is legitimately scary? It's going to make you jump out of your seat. It's going to make you want to look away. It's going to make you want to puke. It's, like something that's really a grounded, dark kind of horror film. And that approach was taken all the way through, even with Hornswoggle. Like how can we make someone anyone who thinks of the idea is going to be like, oh, that's going to be silly, or that's going to. But how can we really make him scary? And so that was interesting as far as working with him and designing the creature and doing. It's all very makeup driven, so it's all makeup effects, which was hard for him.
How long was the process for him?
Just over 2 hours, and then again at lunch, so 4 hours a day. And like he says, he's used to like 5 minutes in the ring. This was like 12 hours a day, day after day after day after day. So much more endurance than he's used to.
Do you think because of his experience working with WWE and his on-screen character that he portrays, is it easier to work with him versus like if you got actor A instead of a pro wrestler?
Yeah. Well, the two great things that he came with was, an attitude of doing anything possible. Like we had to watch out because he would never complain, and if he was feeling like crap, he wouldn't say anything. And so to a certain degree, he was game, which was awesome. But he's also he has a huge background in kind of visual storytelling, expressing character through his expression, through his eyes, and through his body language and all of that. And that's the direction that we went here, more than saying jokes and that kind of thing. And so he came with a lot of that experience of how to kind of tell a character with just how he moves his head and his body and his eyes and all that kind of stuff, which was great because he has years of experience doing that, and not a lot of actors do.
How long was the shoot?
The shoot was 15 days.
15 days, okay.
Yeah.
They're making these movies in 15 days now. Shit.
Yeah, it was super fast and very difficult. But I think you'll be surprised by the quality of what we were able to like. It's very cinematic, very beautiful. A lot of the same, I shot just before the Soska Sisters. A lot of the same DP who's incredible, the same crew. We're all from Vancouver, right? So it's kind of a lot of the people that we grew up together making these indie films with. So people that were ready to make a film fast. He had made a lot of films fast as well. So it's a totally different style of making films. Yeah. You don't have 90 days, but it kind of gives a certain energy to what you're doing.
What else have you worked on? What else have you directed?
Sure. My big break was being on The Lot, which was kind of a big reality show, kind of like American Idol, but for filmmaking. And from that, I did a monster movie called Tasmanian Devils with Danica McKellar and Apollo Ono on the Sci-Fi Channel, which was really fun and really awesome. And then that led into this. I'm also a producer on this incredible horror film called Afflicted. That just had Midnight Madness in Toronto and won Best Horror Film and Best Horror Script and Directors at Fantastic Fest. And so I didn't direct that, but me and a very close group of friends made that film.
I see a pattern here. Horror, yeah. Definitely. So is that your main theme, or are you going to stand out?
I'm just general genre. I love sci-fi, I love fantasy, I love adventure a huge amount, and I love horror too. Like some of my favorite horror films are usually more the creature feature stuff, like Aliens or Jurassic Park or The Thing or stuff like that. That's very like, more than the haunted house kind of stuff.
Yeah, sure.
I'm much more into like cinematic. People in places they shouldn't be being eaten by something.
Okay. Cool.
Because it's
sounds like my dating life.
Yeah. I like the adventure aspect of it, I guess, like being like on the run, like that kind of like element, and having to fight your way out. And, yeah, that kind of, and that's very much what this film is. It's a group of kids where they shouldn't be being chased and killed by a terrifying small creature.
Do you have a movie that absolutely scares you? As you were just terrified, maybe as you were younger?
I mean, I saw Jurassic Park when I was 10 in the theater, like way too young to see that film. Like I had nightmares.
Did you shit your pants?
My parents, well, my mom is in the film industry, and a director told her, like, oh my God, there's this amazing movie, you got to take Zach to it. And so she did, because she didn't know what it was, like, and I was just crying and hiding under the seat and had nightmares for 2 years, and like, but it also, definitively, that's the moment where I wanted to become a filmmaker at the same time. Because I was like, wow, because that was the first time I saw a movie that wasn't just like, Aladdin or something. Like, you know what I mean? Like it was something I was like, holy crap, like this is what's possible.
I see that you're wearing your 1960s Batman shirt.
That's right.
Given a chance, as far as comic book genre goes, like what comic book character or movie or what would you like to direct? Like something like a Ghost Rider, because he's more of a...
There's one I'm really into right now. It's kind of more obscure, but called Mouse Guard. That I would love. I think that world is so cool, and I've done. I developed for a while a pitch on Wind in the Willows, which is not necessarily exactly the same, but that kind of. I love that idea of kind of like, what if animals out in the woods had their own little world, and could we go in there and really? And again, the cool thing about Mouse Guard is they really do this grounded, kind of awesome, kind of take on it, really original kind of thing. Yeah, well, I mean, a Leprechaun you'll see is like I kind of hope that people go in thinking it's just going to be like the old movies and sit down being like, oh, no problem, like this is going to be fun, and like suddenly are like on the edge of their seat and then are just like jumping and grabbing the person next to them because they did not expect this at all. Like it is completely new. So like I'm hoping that to a certain degree it unexpectedly terrifies people, which could be great.
Is it going to be? We were talking about this. Is it going to be released St. Patty's Day?
It's going to be in the spring, so they're figuring out exactly when. But
I mean, I feel like that.
Hopefully, tie in at WrestleMania too. That'd be a good idea.
Yeah, for sure.
Is there any part in the movie where they make fun of Jennifer Aniston?
Well, one of the characters.
So like a disemboweling of somebody named Jennifer and.
There's subtle nods throughout the film, like one of them is called Jennifer. Like the clip you'll see today, her name's Jennifer. Like stuff that's not plot oriented, but just like there's little details.